Hey friends, so we are back again. Abigail is back with us and we're going to finish up chapter 5 in science. So you need to go ahead and get your science book out. Turn to page 64. Remember that we're talking about God's plan for animals. And we talked about animals that were born alive. We talked about animals that were hatched from eggs. We talked about insects, and we talked about spiders who aren't insects because they have 8 legs. So let's go ahead and look on page 64. We're talking about zoo animals on page 64. Ready? Together. Zoo animals. We go to the zoo. We see animals from all parts of the world. Otters. Otters live in rivers and streams. They like to eat fish. Baby otters are called pups, just like doggies. Otters like to swim and play. So you get to color the otters that are in there. So if you look at the otter that's in the water, what do you think they have on their chest right there? Nope, that's not it. It could be a different thing. It could be some rocks, right? It could be a clam. It could be a rock with a clam, and they can lay on their back like that and float while they're opening that shell up to eat whatever is inside of it. They're very smart little otters. Okay, let's look on page 65. We're going to read about monkeys. Ready? Together. Monkeys. Most monkeys live in rainforests. Some monkeys are tiny and some are big. They like to eat fruit, nuts, and insects. Monkeys can hold on to things with their tails. Have you seen monkeys use their tails to swing from tree to tree? So have you ever visited the zoo? I visited a lot of zoos here in Louisiana, and I love each one of them. And who is your favorite animal to see in the zoo? Really? Well, my favorite animal to see in the zoo is probably the monkeys, because I like how they come in all kinds of different sizes and shapes, and some of them have long tails, some of them have short tails, and I love to see how they use all of their hands and fingers and tails to do everything. So that's probably my favorite. Okay, let's turn to page 66. We're going to talk about bears. Ready? Together. Bears. There are many kinds of bears. A bear's home is called a den. Did you know that, Abigail? Bears like to eat fish. A mother bear has 2 cubs at a time. They are good playmates for each other. So you get to color the mama bear and the 2 cubs. And if you look right there, there's a little cave there. That's her den, right? So a mama bear has 2 cubs at one time. Okay, let's look on page 67. We're going to talk about birds. Ready? Together. Birds. Birds come in many colors and sizes. They may all look different, but all birds have feathers, wings, and beaks. An ostrich cannot fly, but it can run very fast. And we've talked about ostriches before. Parrots can repeat words said by people. The smallest birds in the world are hummingbirds. That's right. A flamingo's color comes from the food he eats. And we've talked about that one before too. And we talked about Avery talking about the little shrimp. You okay, Abigail? And the last one, bald eagles love to eat fish. So if you look, he's diving down there and he's going to grab onto one of those fish with his very strong claws there. Okay, let's look at page 68. We're going to talk about reptiles. Ready? Together. Reptiles. There are many different kinds of reptiles. Reptiles do not live where it is cold. They like warm weather. Snakes have scales. They slither from place to place. Turtles have shells that protect their bodies like shields. Alligators use their tails to help them swim. Lizards use their tongues to smell. Did you know that? Did you know that lizards will use their tongue to stick it out and smell things? That's very cool that God did that for them. And if a lizard loses his tail, he can grow a new one. Wow, I did not think that that was possible, but guess what? God did that. God made sure that if a lizard loses his tail, another one would grow. Okay, let's talk about amphibians. Page 69. Ready? Together. Amphibians live in the water and on the land. Their bodies change as they get older. Most amphibians eat insects and worms. Baby frogs are called tadpoles. So if you've ever seen a pond or maybe in the ditch sometimes, you can see the little things that are swimming around. That might be a tadpole and it looks like that right there. Frogs have strong legs that help them hop. Toads do not drink water. Water soaks into their bodies through their skin. That's always something very cool to talk about when we're in class because toads don't drink the water. They'll go and they'll sit in water and the water will soak through their skin and they're not thirsty that way. Salamanders are very quiet. They do not make any noise at all. Did you know that? If you're hearing something around, it is probably not a salamander because salamanders are so quiet. Okay, so we're going to stop right there for this week. We're going to talk about farm animals next, but we'll finish up science next week. Okay, so next be prepared to do your reading. Don't forget if you haven't done your other videos that you can go ahead and watch them now. And I will see you soon, and maybe Abby will too. We love you.